soul, to awaken his name, and he will heal anyone who needs remedy from you and help us turn to the CLE as a single 10 as one man with one heart, and help us grow in faith and confidence on the path we'll be able to march forward all the time. Each and everyone who is in this in and out of war, that he will defeat the evil inclination, yet triumph over the evil inclination. Connect, ask for the people of Israel to unite and to wake up, look after their soldiers that will be in a single demand prayer of the friend. Thank you, beloved Creator, for directing us to the correct path and for give us an opportunity to ask from you. Together we ask of you, awakening us true deficiency to come closer to you through the connection with the friends. Hold us together in mutual guarantee, so that every friend will feel the force of everyone in your presence. Amen. Us help us to pass on your light of correction to all of humanity. Help us to be connected with you all the time, and that at every moment we can make you happy. L. Reading from the writings. Awful, what is the earth feared, and was still in the work stud material. In system can send questions through those websites if you're asking in the study hall. Please hold the mic close to your Speak loudly and clearly, and stand up again. What is the earth fear that was still in the work? Our essayist wrote, in that said, why is it written from heaven? You sounded judgment the earth feared, and was still. If it feared, why was it still? And if it was still, why did it fear? Indeed, first it feared, and in the end it was still. And why did it fear? Asish said, why is it written, and there was evening, and there was morning the sixth day? Why the extra? Hey, it shows that the Creator set a condition along with the work of creation, and told them, if Israel receives the Torah, you exist. If they do not, I send you back to chaos. We should understand why the Creator set a condition along with the work of that it depends if Israel accept the Torah very well. If not, he will return them to chaos. First, we should understand what is the work of creation. We see that we refer to the whole of the work of creation by the name earth, as it is written, the earth feared and was still. Therefore, we should understand what the word earth implies. The verse says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Why does it call the work of creation only by the name earth, as it is written, the earth feared and was still? We should interpret that the work of creation pertains to the beginning of their thought. This means that the beginning of the thought of the work of the creation of their world is, as it is written, the purpose of creation was because of his desire to do good to his creations. This is the meaning of the work of creation. In other words, this is the purpose of the act that he created, that the created beings will receive delight and pleasure. However, in order for the pleasure that they receive to be complete, meaning that they will not feel shame upon the reception of the pleasures, there was a correction called restriction tum, where the light does not shine where there is a desire to receive for one's own sake, meaning that the light of pleasure does not reach there, rather after the created beings correct themselves so as to have the intention to bestow. Follows that if there is no intention to bestow, they will have no abundance. Naturally, the whole of the work of creation, meaning the purpose of creation to do good, there will be no one to receive it, and naturally the whole purpose of the work of creation will be canal. We therefore understand that if there is no one with the aim to bestow, this is called the return of the work of creation to chaos. However, we should understand the connection to Israel, that if Israel receive the Torah, the work of creation will persist, and if they do not, it will be canal, according to the above said, that the Creator wants to give them delight and pleasure, and they also need to correct their will to receive, so as to work in order to bestow. What is the connection between the correction to work in order to bestow? That because of this they must receive. That the answer is, as our sages said, the Creator said, I've created the evil inclination, I've created the Torah as a spice through the Throughout light reforms him, and he will achieve the intention to bestow that without to there are restriction and conment of creation, which is called existence from absence, namely the vessels of reception, and the light of the Creator cannot come into the vessels of reception. Follows that the work of creation, which is the matter of doing good to his creations, is cancelled if there are no vessels that can receive the purpose of creation, which is the delight and pleasure due to the correction of the restriction. This correction comes by observing the toe, and then instead of the restriction the abundance appears once more. However, according to this, it means that if a person has already achieved the correction of his kim, meaning that he already has vessels that are called receiving in order to bestow, why does he need the Torah after all he has already accepted all the counsels on how to do everything for the sake of the Creator? The answer is that it is known that the Zohar calls the 613 commandments by the name 613 counsels and by the name 613 deposits. These are tips by which to achieve the correction of creation, which is to obtain the desire to bestow, by which we acquire equivalence of form around the restriction and concealment removed. This is the correction that our sages said, I have created evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice. Once he has obtained the spice, the 613 commandments are called 613 deposits, for in each commandment mikvah there is a special light that is there as a deposit waiting for men to have the suitable vessel for it. At that time a person is given what was there as a deposit which he could not take out because of the restriction and consumption. It follows that the purpose of creation is the 613 deposits which are deposited there until the creatures correct their creation. Only then will they receive the purpose of creation and the way by which to attain the correction of creation. Everyone will have vessels that can aim to bestow is through the 613 commandments, which are his counsels, meaning tips. And what are the counsels? It is as it is written, the light in the Torah reforms him. We should know that in the 613 commandments, which are called counsels, counsel is given when a person desires to obtain something but does not know how, seeks advice how to obtain that something. Therefore, when a person observes the body, asks a person, why are you observing? And then the person replies, I believe in reward and punishment. Therefore, in order to receive a reward and not be punished, I observe. However, we cannot refer to reward and punishment as an advice, for an advice is meant to obtain something. It follows that counsels are one thing, and what one receives through their counsels is another thing. Each one who observes and in order to receive a reward can't be said that they are apps for how to receive a reward. Rather, the work is called labor, and the work, the reward, is called return. And it's not that we say that the work is the counsel for the reward. Rather, it is like an exchange where the employee gives the employer the work, and then return the employer pays him. What is the meaning of the 613 counsels? We should interpret that counsels apply when a person wants to be rewarded with attention with the Creator, meaning that he wants all his decisions to be in order to bestow contentment upon his Maker and not to work for his own sake, since man is born with a nature that he cannot understand doing anything other than for oneself, and a person wants to emerge from the governance of nature but sees that he cannot do anything not for his own sake. That a person seeks advice how to obtain his desire, since the body claims that it is customary that one who does something for another receives a reward. Here, when a person begins to work for the sake of the Creator and not for his own sake, the body's resistance to the work grows stronger every time, because the person wants to anal self-benefit through and meaning that he will not work for the sake of the body. How can the body give him energy to work on annulling it? This is similar to one person assisting another person who wants to kill Him is it normal for a person to help the murderer kill him rather as hard as one? Can he resist him? Therefore, when a person comes and says to the body, I want to kill you, of course the body resists it, as our sages said about the verse that King David said, my heart is lowering within me, that they killed the evil inclination. Through fasting, thus the body certainly resists with all its might if he wants to work only in order to best that time a person seeks advice how to emerge from the control of the evil inclination called the will to receive. For himself it follows that only in this state, when he wants to work in order to bestow, he needs advice. It was said about this that 613 commandment are 6,113 counsels, tips on how to emerge from the control of the evil. That's when a person learns he must intend that the tour he's doing will help him emerge from the control of the evil, and he will have the strength to do everything with he aim to bestow. And when he learns Torah, he wants the light in the Torah to reform him. Then he needs what they said, that the Creator said, I've created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice. It follows that the Torah and commandments that he engages in are to him in the state only as tips. Now we can understand why after he was rewarded with vessels of bestow through the tips other, and what should he do next in observing is he no longer needs the Torah and mitzvah as tips. It is known that the tips only cause to achieve the goal that he wants to achieve, that until he found the counsels he could not obtain what he wanted to obtain. The question is, what does he want? That is, what is the purpose he should achieve? There is a simple answer to this. The purpose is that a person seeks advice how to achieve the goal, and what is the purpose he must achieve. We should say that since a person does not work for his own sake, but has already been rewarded with emerging from the control of self-love, now he wants to achieve the purpose of their Creator. Desire is to do good to his creations, for the created beings to receive the light and pleasure that through their 613 cells he has reached the goal of the Creator, meaning the Creator's desire for the creatures to receive delight and pleasure. And the Zohar tells us about this, that the delight and pleasure are 613 deposits in each mitzvah. In each commandment there's a special light deposited for which waits for the time when it can return deposit that is in the, as was said in it, there is a special light that implies the mitzvah as a branch and root. It follows that once a person has achieved 613 sils, he observes the 613 deposits. For this reason afterwards there is a new order, and then the Torah is called the names of the Creator. This discernment is called the Torah Israel, and one follows that we can detect many discernments, but in general they divide into 3 discernments. One is not for her sake, 2 lishmer for her sake, when all his actions are in order to bestow at that time. The 63 are to him as 613 counsels. One is rewarded with achieving the purpose of creation, for his desire is to do good to his creations that time. The 613 commandments are to him is 613 deposits. 613 counsels are how to achieve lishmer, and the 613 deposits are called revealing the secrets of Torah Inish. There are several discernments to make. One who learns in order to complain in this manner, it was said his Torah becomes to him a portion of death. One who learns in order to be called the Rob, a great one, a teacher. For those 2 he does only for the sake of people and not for the sake of the Creator. Be rewarded in this world, for to be rewarded in the next world. Those 2 he does for the sake of the Creator, and he wants the Creator to pay his reward. In the first 2 discernments, his reward is what he wants to receive from people like him. That is, one who learns in order to complain, his pleasure is from what he receives from his friend. Likewise, one who learns in order to be called Rabbi, man this of people and not of the Creator. Now we can explain what we Asked why is the work of creation called, specifically, earth? After all, it is written in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. The answer is that earth is called Mal, and our sages said, why her name? Earth, because she wanted to do her makers. Well, generally, we speak of only two, the serpent light and vessel. The abundance and all the lights are called heaven, and all that receives them is called earth. This is why it was written the earth feared and was still. When we speak in the work about the earth feared and was still, should interpret that means desire, that is, the desire is in man's heart. Fear, what is the fear? Since the vessel that perceives the abundance is called earth, and in man his heart is called earth. And since the purpose of creation, to do good to his creations, should appear within man's heart, since man's heart is called the world to receive, and since there was a restriction, concealment on the world to receive, the point is not reach. There, how can the purpose of creation, to do good to his creations, come to the creatures when all of creation is a desire to receive for oneself? It is through the Torah, as was said, I've created the evil inclination. I've created the Torah as a spice when they engage in its fort with intention, with the aim to thereby be rewarded with vessels. However, there is fear on this, say, the desire to bestow is against nature. Therefore here the fear is because he's afraid that he might not be able to do everything in order to bestow, and the work of creation, which is the purpose of creation that must be revealed to the low ones, will be cancelled. That is, there are two things here. One, perhaps he will not be able to aim the learning of Tar to bring him the desire to bestow, since the body will do everything it can and will not let him aim that the Torah, and he does, will be with the aim to bring him. Rather, he will have other thoughts. Why should he engage in all this? Is because the body objects to it, to fear that all the work of creation, namely the intention of the Creator to do good to his creations, will be cancelled, and there will be no one to receive. Thus the purpose of creation would not be carried out. This is why the earth feared, meaning the general desire called earth, and every person's desire is called earth, since man's heart is called accordingly. What is the condition the Creator set along with the work of creation? If Israel accept the Torah, you persist, that is only by observing the Torah, which is the spice that yields equivalence of form. There is room for the delight and pleasure, which is the work of creation. There is room for the delight and pleasure, which is the work of creation, to persist, meaning that it can be revealed to the ones. Also, why was specifically the earth afraid and not the heavens? It is because fear pertains only to the seers. Perhaps they will not be able to receive. As for the light called heaven, here does not pertain to the Creator. He receives, he certainly knows that what he wants will be carried out. Thus all the fears pertain only to the receivers called earth, and we should interpret that thanks to fear, which is that he might not be able to be rewarded with a desire to bestow. Thanks to the fear they were rewarded with a desire to bestow through the Torah. This is why it was still. It's a wonderful article, really is wonderful. Questions. Everyone received it nicely. Everyone understood it according to each one's state. Okay. Can. Yes. I understand. Before a person reaches Lishmer, he can't see what he has in his deposit. There's a state where a person exerts a lot he thinks he exerts, and there's nothing in the deposits until he doesn't reach. So until he reaches Lishma, before he reaches Lishma, he doesn't know what there is in his deposit. No, there's no indication if he's working correctly or not. No, it'll just corrupt his work. So here's the work is only above reason. Yes, maybe we should read it again. Who's for reading it again? Michael, you see how you read. No, read it for us again. Yes. What reading again? The article, what is the earth feared and was their work? Just a moment. Our sages wrote Instead, why is it written from heaven? You sounded judgment the earth feared, and was still. If it feared, why was it still? And if it was still, why did it fear? Indeed, first it feared, and in the end it was still. And why did it fear? As Rishlish said, why is it written, and there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Why the extra hay in Hebrew? It shows that the Creator set a condition along with the work of creation, and told them, if Israel received the Torah, you exist. If they do not, I send you back to chaos. We should understand why the Creator set a condition along with the work of creation, that it depends if Israel accept the Torah very well. If not, he will return them to. First, we should understand what is the work of creation. We see that we refer to the whole of the work of creation by the name earth, as it is written, the earth feared, and was still. Therefore, we should understand what the word earth implies. The verse says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Thus, why does it call the work of creation only by the name earth, as it is written, the earth feared, and was still? We should interpret that the work of creation pertains to the beginning of the thought. This means that the beginning of the thought of the work of creation of the world is as it is written. The purpose of creation was because of his desire to do good to his creations. This is the meaning of the work of creation. In other words, this is the purpose of their ACT. Beings will receive delight and pleasure, however, in order for the pleasure that they receive to be complete, meaning that they will not feel shame upon the reception of the pleasures. There was a correction called tam restriction, where the light does not shine where there is a desire to receive for one's own sake, meaning that the light of pleasure does not reach there, but rather after the created beings correct themselves so as to have the intention to bestow. Follows that if there is no intention to bestow, they will have no abundance. Naturally, the whole of the work of creation, meaning the purpose of creation to do good, there will be no one to receive it, and naturally the whole purpose of the work of creation will be cancelled. We therefore understand that if there is no one with the aim to bestow, this is called the return of the work of creation to. However, we should understand the connection to Israel, that if Israel receive the Torah, the work of creation will persist, and if they do not, it will be cancelled. According to the above said, that the Creator wants to give them delight and pleasure, and they also need to correct their will to receive so as to work in order to bestow. What is the connection between the correction to work in order to bestow? Because of this they must receive the Torah. The answer is as our sages said. The Creator said, I have created the evil inclination, have created the Torah as a spice. Through the Torah its light reforms him, and he will achieve the intention to bestow. It follows that without Torah there are riyam and concealment on creation, which is called existence from absence, namely the vessels of reception, and the light of the Creator cannot come into the vessels of reception. It follows that the work of creation, which is the matter of doing good to his creations, is cancelled if there are no vessels that can receive the purpose of creation, which is the delight and pleasure due to the correction of the. This correction comes by observing the Torah, and then instead of the Tim, the abundance appears once more. However, according to this, it means that if a person has already achieved the correction of his Kim, meaning that he already has, and that are called receiving in order to bestow. Why does he need Torah after all? He has already accepted all the counsels how to do everything for the sake of the Creator. The answer is that it is known that the Zohar called the 613 Mitivi by the name 613 counsels, and by the name 613 deposits. These are tips by which to achieve the correction of creation, which is to obtain the desire to bestow, by which we acquire equivalence. The form and the tam and concealment are removed. This is the correction that our sages said, I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as A. Spice has obtained the spice. The 613 mitzvah are called 613 deposits, for in each mitzvah there is a special light, that is, there is a deposit waiting for man to have the suitable cle vessel for it. At that time a person is given what was there is a deposit which he could not take out because theum and concealment governed it. It follows that the purpose of creation is the 613 deposits which are deposited there until the creatures correct their creation. Only then will they receive the purpose of creation and the way by which to obtain the correction of creation, that everyone will have vessels that can aim to bestow is through the 63 mitzvah, which are as counsels, meaning tips the count. It is as it is written, the light in the Torah reforms him. We should know that in the 613 which are called counsels, a counsel is given when a person desires to obtain something but does not know how. That person seeks advice how to obtain something. Therefore, when a person observes Torah and body asks a person, why are you observing T? Then the person replies, I believe in reward and punishment. Therefore, in order to receive reward and not to be punished, I observe Torah. And however, we cannot refer to reward and punishment as an advice, for advice is a means to obtain something. Follows that counsels are one thing, and what one receives through the counsels is another thing. One who observes Torah and in order to receive reward, it cannot be said that they are tips how to receive reward. Rather, the work is called labor and the reward is called return. It is not that we say that the work is the counsel for the reward, rather it is like an exchange where the employee gives the employer their work and in return the employer pays him. Teach what is the meaning of the 613 counsels. We should interpret that counsels apply when a person wants to be rewarded with addition with a creator, meaning that he wants all his actions to be in order to bestow contentment upon his maker and not to work for his own sake, since man is born with a nature that he cannot understand doing anything other than for oneself, and a person wants to emerge from the governance of nature but sees that he cannot do anything not for his own sake. Then a person seeks advice how to obtain this desire, since the body claims that it is customary that one who does something for another receives reward. When a person begins to work for the sake of the creator and not for his own sake, the body's resistance to the work grows stronger every time, because the person wants to annul self-benefit through Torah, meaning that he will not work for the sake of the body. How can the body give him energy to work on annulling it? This is similar to one person assisting another person who wants to kill him. Is it normal for a person to help the murderer kill him? Rather, as hard as one can, he resists him. Therefore, when a person comes and says to the body, I want to kill you, of course the body resists. It is as our sages said about the verse that King David said, my heart is slain within me, that they killed the evil incarnation through fasting. The body certainly resists with all its might if he wants to work only in order to bestow. At that time a person seeks advice how to emerge from the control of the evil inclination called will to receive for himself. It follows that only in this state, when he wants to work in order to bestow, he needs advice. It was said about this that the 613 mitzvah are 613 counsel, meaning tips how to emerge from the control of the evil. That's when a person learns Torah, he must intend that the Torah and MIT he is doing will help him emerge from the control of the evil, and he will have the strength to do everything with the aim to bestow. Then when he learns Torah, he wants the light in the Torah to reform him, and then he needs what they said Creator said, I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice. It follows that the Torah and MIT that he engages in are to him in this state only as tips. Now we can understand why after he was rewarded with vessels of bestow through the tips of their. What should he do next in observing T? And that is he no longer needs the Torah. And as tips it is Cain, but the tips only cores to achieve the goal that he wants to achieve, and that until he found the kernel he could not obtain. What he wanted to obtain question is what does he want, that is what is the purpose he should achieve. There is a simple answer to this. The purpose is that a person seeks advice how to achieve the goal is the purpose he must achieve. We should say that since a person does not work for his own sake, but has already been rewarded with emerging from the control of self-love, now he wants to achieve the purpose of their Creator, whose desire is to do good to his creations, for the created beings to receive delight and pleasure. Follows that through the 613 counsels he has reached the goal of the Creator, meaning the Creator's desire for the creatures to receive delight and pleasure. The Zohar tells us about this, that the delight and pleasure are as 613 deposits, that in each commandment there is a special light deposited which waits for the time when it can return. The deposit that is in the commandment, as was said, that in each commandment there is a special light. That implies the commandment as a branch and root. It follows that once a person has achieved 613 counsels, he observes the 613 deposits. For this reason, afterward there is a new order, and then the Torah is called the names of the Creator. This discernment is called the Torah. Israel and the Creator are one. It follows that we can detect many discernments in T and Mitivi, but in general they divide into three discernments: one not for her sake, two for her sake when all his actions are in order to bestow at that time. The 613 commandments are to him is 6,113 counsels, three when one is rewarded with achieving the purpose of creation, for his desire to do good to his creations at that time. The 613 mitivi are to him as 613 deposits. The 613 counsels are how to achieve lishmer, and the 613 deposits are called revealing the secrets of Torah. There are also several discernments to make one who learns in order to complain on this manner. It was said his Torah becomes to him a potion of death. To one who learns in order to be called rabbi or great one teacher, those two he does only for the sake of people and not for the sake of their Creator. Three to be rewarded in this world, four to be rewarded in the next world. Those two he does for the sake of the Creator and wants Creator to pay his reward. In the first two discernments, his reward is what he wants to receive from people like him. That is one who learns in order to complain. His pleasure is from what he receives from his friend. Likewise, one who learns in order to be called rabbi demands this of people and not of the Creator. Now we can explain what we asked. Why is the Cree, the work of creation, called specifically earth? It's after all, it is written in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. The answer is that earth is called Mal, and our SCS said why was her name earth? Because she wanted to do her maker. Well, generally speaking, we speak only of two discernments, light and vessel. The abundance and all the lights are called heaven, and all that receives them is called earth. This is why it is written the earth fears and feared and was still. We speak in the work about the earth feared and was still. We should interpret that earth means desire, that is the desire is in man's heart. Fear, what is the fear? Since the vessel that receives the abundance is called earth, man his heart is called earth, and since the purpose of creation is to do good to his creations should appear within men's heart, since men's heart is called will to receive, and since there was a restriction, concealment from the world to receive, the eight does not reach there. How can the purpose of creation to do good to his creations come to the creatures when all creation is a desire to receive for oneself? It is through the Torah, as was said, I have created evil inclination, have created the Torah as a spice when they engage in with the aim, to thereby be rewarded with vessels of bestow. However, there's fear on this, since the desire to bestow is against nature. Therefore here the fear is because he's afraid that he might not be able to do everything in order to bestow, and the war of creation, which is the purpose of creation that must be revealed to the L1s, will be cancelled. That is, there are two things here. One, perhaps he will not be able to aim the learning of to bring him the desire to bestow. Say the body will do everything it can and will not let him aim that. The he does will be with the aim to bring him the spice. Rather he will have other thoughts. Why should he engage into all this? Is because the body object to it. Fear that all the work of creation, namely the intention of the Creator to do good to his creation, will be cancelled, and there will be no more no one to receive. Thus the purpose of creation will not be carried out. And this is why the earth feared, meaning the general, the called earth, and every person's desire is called earth. Accordingly, what is the condition that the Creator set along with the world of creation? If Israel accept the Torah, you persist. That is only by observing the Torah, which is the spice, the yields equivalence of form. There is room for the delight and pleasure, which is the work of creation. Again, that is only by observing the tar, which is the spice that yields equivalence of form. There is room for the delight and pleasure, which is the work of creation, to persist, meaning that it can be revealed to the lower ones. Also, why was specifically the earth afraid and not the heaven? It is because fear pertains only to the receivers. Perhaps they will not be able to receive. But as for the light called heaven, fear does not pertain to the Creator. He certainly knows that what he wants will be carried out. That's all. The fears pertain only to the receivers called earth. We should interpret that thanks to fear, which is that he might not be able to be rewarded with the desire to bestow. Thanks to fear, they were rewarded with the desire to bestow through the Torah, and this is why it was still, yes, Israel rewarded with reaching the purpose of creation, which is to do good to who created beings. And then the 600 commandments are for him as 613 deposits. So what are the 613 commandments? Laws that we need to use in order to resemble the Creator. It is 613 organs or desires that we need to use in order to bestow, and whether it's advices or deposits. 18 are the advices for the time being, and deposits are the deposits, meaning that they're filled with lights, spiritual forces. Thank you. How do you receive an advice or counsel? As he writes, I don't understand. How do you receive counsels? Through that in which we observe all the actions that the Torah demands of us, and then we come closer to the Creator, and according to the extent of closeness, the 613 desires turn into 613 counsels, and then to 63 deposits. And what do you receive as a counsel? Let's say the light. Of when we say the light and it reforms, doesn't mean that the light gives us first counsels and then commandments. That's how we call these stages. So how those counsels bring a person to Lishma. I start understanding that it is upon me to come closer to the Creator in order to receive from him the reforming light, and accordingly turn myself into something that is similar to him, to the landlord. Yeah. Another thing I didn't understand, what does it mean to learn Torah in order to complain? There are those who learn in order to know a lot, to appear before everyone, to be called a great RVA sage with all such goals. Yes, it says when a person begins to work for the sake of the Creator and not for his own sake, the body resists more each time to the work. This is like someone who wants to murder him. Of course he won't help him. What do you do when the body resists the work more and more because he understands you trying to kill it? But that comes according to the two, that in which you get more and more forces and what you're drawn to in life. So as a result, so then you have more resistance of the body. Yes, in order to leave you with free choice. But what is the free choice if strong and resisting, but you have opportunities in the meantime you joined to yourself friends, groups, and you entered more deeper. You need to be somewhat balanced between good and bad so that you will always have free choice, so the added powers to deal with the body that disagrees with your advancement toward ball is only from the outside, from the friend who is greater than his friend. His inclination is greater than he, so he goes to the friends so they would. Ah yes, the more he comes closer to friends and enters the Torah and prays to the Creator, he has connection with all these means, and then he progresses in that way, forces, and then he will agree to be the bestower instead of the receiver. What will happen in this change? Yes, how come? Why would he agree? As it is written, I want. There is a boundary to the extent in which the body resists, because the body holds on to these boundaries and it submits otherwise. What the Creator created the desire to receive, which has 613 desires parts, and we need to correct them in order to bestow. Yes, he says, what is the interpretation of 600? Counsels should be interpreted as when a person wants to be rewarded with a Titian and the Creator. Why would the person want to merit the ad with the Creator? The Creator gives him such a desire, the person needs to develop it. But then he says, when he speaks of the stages, says 1 and 2, and he includes all, each and every action to be in order to bestow. And then the 600 commandments are 63 counsels. So where does Lishmer start? The commandments become counsels in not the 463 advise as counsels that a person starts receiving in order to draw closer to a Titian with a Creator. It's already 613:18. Counsels. So how do ye, what do you call all the actions you do before that in Lishmer, or you don't call them anything? They not called that because they don't really have don't have the force of correction. So what's the difference between it? Looks like there's 3 stages. There's the first stage, which is Lishma. Then we say that the light in it reforms, because otherwise how will we come out of this? Will stay it forever. So something has to work in the Lishma, otherwise what? Why is that stage? If it exists, what does it give you? The person gets used to working in Lishma, even if he doesn't get anything out of that, even if he won't have anything from that, he gradually comes out of in order to receive for himself and comes closer to in order to bestow. It's not through light, it's through habit. Now it's all through the light. We don't speak about that at all. And then a person comes to the stage where he enters, and only then he can hear the counsels. Then the 613 are called ES, and what changes in the work, the where he works out of habit. And that first stage where the commandments become counsels, when he is already ready to carry out actions in order to bestow. What did do prior? He did those actions and they were for his own sake. Yes, so the action remains the same, but the intention changes there. Yes, say that what makes that transition additional light, which what transitions him from one state to another. When does the Torah become the potion of death? He wants to use it in order to receive. Everybody wants to use it in order to receive. They start from that, yes, but if he constantly keeps that line, so then the toe becomes the potion of death. Death is something that is beyond correction. It means that you cannot come out of those states. Let's not get into that. Sky, we're not going to get into that. That's not simple. Please. Ravi concludes the article by saying that thanks to fear, which that he might not be able to be rewarded with the desire to bestow, so thanks to this inner state I may not get the ability to be rewarded with the desire to bestow, and thanks to that receives a desire to bestow. What is that fear? That maybe he will not have it, 'cause he sees that it's something distant, that something above him does he act. Then daily we will get there, and we'll see we shouldn't get confused when we haven't gotten to those degrees yet. Yes, Gail, we work on one commandment: love your friend as yourself. We wish to reach such connection between us in which everything right will be Revealed so, what is this a discernment of 600? In this work it's like 10. 613 means all the actions that we need supposedly organize and keep inside us in order to build our connected desires. They are connected desires, how to detect it if at all. Inside of our yearning, our aspiration to build a connection between us. I'm searching for actions, opportunities, connection, and then I see them. Every such opportunity for connection that is revealed is can call it a commandment, yes, 'cause it's part of the general commandment of the Creator to connect in order to reach Him, to be able to stand against them. Person misses out on such an opportunity, or if he uses it, what's the difference? Not too bad, it's not too bad. You go again and repeat things and combinations of the forces and special conditions. We don't miss out on anything. How does this bring us to some kind of there's something in the 613 that sounds like something whole, and we're doing like piece by piece. Another opportunity for connection, another state in the 10, some other situation in the world CLE, and it seems like this is constantly renewing. Yeah, how do these pieces become something whole, called the wholeness of the actions of connection? That's by the incorporation of our desires, that we are included one in the other, until we reach a state that we start seeing them as existing in one body, meaning in one desire. Yes, Yoff, about the reward. He wants the Creator to pay for his reward, but he writes that his reward is that which he wants to receive from people like him. How do we free ourselves from the desire to receive a reward? It feels like it's not good. I have to get reward, and with that reward advance, and the Creator wants to give me that reward, otherwise what I'm going to disconnect from it. So what reward? To have the forces to bestow, the forces to connect everybody, the forces to push everyone towards the Creator, and by that I resemble Him in that reward, and somewhat, yes, along with the others, because I'm incorporated with all the friends, and then this whole vessel becomes as one man with one heart. And the last point, he writes the condition that the Creator put for the creation, as if you receive the tea, you exist. Who is it talking about? That they exist if Israel receives the Torah, the whole world, the whole group. What in the system? So in the system there's a part that depends in an absolute manner on another part, as you see in the world. Yes, and that part that's called Israel, it's also probably dependent on that part. Is dependent upon. Right, yes, of course, depending on one another, but everything depends on Israel. That keeps. So last question, what is the part that depends on Israel? What is its role? If it's dependent in an absolute manner, then where here does it have something to do in this system? It depends on the unity between us, and then uniting with all of reality, with all created beings. Thank you, that's their work, special, unique work, which is very serious. Yeah, about the fear during the day, during the work that we do. There are many kinds of feelings of fear. There's fear that time is being wasted. There's fear that we're not bestowing enough in the tea. There's fear that maybe we're hurting a friend, all kinds. The question is, what is the correct fear with which we have to be concentrated on? The fear, will I not miss out on giving the Creator contentment? That's something that we need, and it's worthwhile to talk about, worthwhile to put in focus all the time, or constantly focus on that. Thank you. Continue that question. There's a great gap between, at least in my eyes, between what we're trying to deal with the 10 on a daily basis, which is that struggle and connection, and the possibilities that we do have. How many people connect to the Zoom? How many are going to this place? And here suddenly we're talking about we need to make sure that we're bringing contentment to the Creator. There's a very big gap altogether in these articles that we're reading lately, compared to the articles of the social articles, where you can kind of put yourself before the group and find this practical work here. These are very high and exalted precise states. How am I supposed to relate to this, like the study of the tear or try to draw a light in this in some way, and then at some point something will be revealed? Or no, you need to practically work in this. What in the practical work now that I'm hearing, I heard now that I have to be to make sure that I'm bringing contentment to the Creator. Where is that in my daily life to bring contentment to? I'm happy if I manage to connect to a Zoom as much as you connect yourself to, as much as you connect yourself to your friends, as much as you try to put them together into the group to attend to a circle, as much as in that circle you want to discover the Creator to give Him contentment. That's the whole work. That's your work of what's between a connected with the friends. Do you connect with the Creator? Though where is the gap between connecting with the friends and connecting with the Creator? We're sitting now and reading an article together. How do we connect to the Creator in that action? You connect in your intention, one heart, one desire. You want to connect between you and build a place for the where the Creator will. Well, okay, thank you. How Rabish writes that thanks to the fear that they were rewarded with the desire to bestow through the Torah. Where does that fear come to a person? That constant concern that will impact him, that gradually comes to him from starting to be concerned. What am I going to have of all this? And then sees himself that he's in a great society in the world, and it all depends on him. From these concerns he reaches it. Where is the, we'll call it more success for a person to be concerned with his fear, or the fear of the environment? Obviously the 10, because in the end he needs to reach the vessel of the 10 in order to adhere to the Creator. And the concern for the fear of the 10, is it dependent on the fear that I personally have, or is it not associated with it? That's how you start constantly. It's like this circulation. I'm receiving fear from the 10 and intensifying the fear in them, or in a mutual way you bestow towards one another. You affect one another. I see that in many articles Aravi relates a lot of importance to counsels and commands the eating, and maybe you can explain what is eating. Where in our group is there advices? What does it mean? These counsels or counsels device. What are these counsels? That we should do all kinds of actions that bring us closer to one another and from us to the Creator. That's their advice. And the inner deposits that in the connections between us we discover the plan. No, well, not the plan, the result of those advices, those count that we had before in the same estate. Only that's the reward. Let's say why 63 through all the counsel. That's, I think, what I was asking earlier. The counsel is just repeating itself. So why 613? The different degrees of coarseness. Why is it changing? Yeah, he shows the calculation about it. Don't remember where I wrote about it. In one of the books. 63 counsels and deposits is connections in a person and from him to the others. So they reach a whole vessel. So each time the degree of or degree of effort changes. Yes, so it's not actually counsels, it's actually commands that are called counsels for the time being, until you don't actually keep them in practice. So it's advice counsels, then it becomes commands, meaning counsels depends on one's attitude, the relation towards it. It's first in potential and then it becomes in practice. Yes, and in practice you fill them with the upper light. Thank you was someone else. Yek was something received before the Torah. I didn't understand. Was there something that we received before the Torah? No, we didn't. What do you mean? We cannot receive the abundance with our vessels with the real to receive for ourselves without the Torah. We cannot the desire to re-receive in order to bestow first of all. What is this? Because of fear. The opportunity for us to return to is a lack of connection from each one to everyone. Is it kind of? That's an example. Is it like before the Big Bang? No, well, that's not what's written in the, but let's say, so the relation between, well, at last eventually our goal is complete faith. What's the relationship between fear and Faith, can they take place in the same place, one above the other, or only one against the other? Fear is fear of what? Why be able to love the friend, to love the Creator, to give them, to connect to them as one man with one heart, and so on. What force do we continue forward in place of fear? If there is fear that something will change, say it in English. Okay, what force moves the vessels forward if without a faith that something will change from the current state? If a person doesn't have faith, he doesn't have anything to work with. Does fear come before faith, or they are so closely related that it's as if they are come together? Fear comes first. Fear comes first, to be certain that from fear faith will come, because you are in fear whether you'll reach the light of faith, the force. Faith, the force of the will to receive. For myself, my will to receive is always telling me this is hopeless. Why even continue like this? Of course you want to bestow, but this isn't you, so where to? From what force to continue? You were born in order to do this for your whole life. That's how you have to take it upon yourself, this thing that I have no choice. This is what I was created for, and I must keep this for my whole life. The commandment of faith. It doesn't matter if something feels impossible, even if it's impossible. Doesn't matter. Your whole life you are activated in such a way. What's up with that? Feels like I can't bestow whatsoever. Okay, like so, what's the point of being here? Being alive, to wake up in the morning, that is called that you are starting to feel what in order to bestow is what above reason is, as much as there is no self-reward in this before the Torah. There's just a mechanism to come to recognition of evil. You can't reach recognition of evil before you work in it. To understand what it is to bestow, this can only come after I feel why the will to receive for myself is so bad. No, to begin with, that's what you are now starting to understand. From this, there's the opportunity to come to what's the degree between recognition of evil. I understand and feel that there's no point to continue within from this state. Well, how to move to forward even one step from such fear? By connecting to the friends. I can say how, but only thank you. The questions are right. No, Rabash is describing here in the end of the article the matter of from Genesis, meaning the whole purpose of creation is to do good to his creatures, and how this whole creation keeps balance. And it doesn't matter what we do, it's like it's constantly under the ball of the light and keeps that form, meaning we're doing all kinds of actions, all kinds of deeds, and we're advancing. And if we're behind on this and we don't do, meaning we don't correct and bring our desire to equifer, then nature helps us. It brings us inevitably to where we have to. It's the role of the people of Israel that they have these vessels to haste in time. Why is it concealed from them? This right is concealed from them to the extent that they don't do their role whatsoever. When they reach the ability to keep their role, they'll see the feel that the Creator blessed right before them, and for right now it isn't. Though the harshest conditions is as in that degree that he described right for now, it's the darkness. Why am I alive? What for? What is life for? And so on. We have one hello question we had in the preparation for the morning lesson: how to strengthen and support every friend so he will yearn for faith, for whole faith. What's he saying? Again, how will we strengthen and support every friend to yearn for complete faith? That was a question we had in the workshop this morning. Give them an example. Each one has to try to be an example for the group, and then all the examples that we'll get from our 10 will be able to perform nice and good actions. Latin 1. The question is relative to what King David said. He says, "And my heart is void in me, and I was the evil inclination was killed in a fast." So how do we go through this fast in our daily life when we won't give our will to receive any fulfillment? That's called that we're killing it by first. Yes, dear, you said that I need to be found in fear. If to that I won't miss the Opportunity to bring contentment to the Creator. How to be in fear, and what is that state, and with what thought should I be? Exactly, it's a state where I'm searching. And what can I bring joy to the Creator? What can I do in order to give Him contentment? I feel like I'm missing so many opportunities every day. Still in the end, all the opportunities connect and everything will succeed at least once to bring contentment to the Creator. How to come to that at least for the first time, that you're somehow bringing Him contentment. How your friends try to lift them all towards the Creator. Awaken them in such a way that you'll all uplift to Him. I'll thank you, teacher, that fear before the Creator that I know is not similar to the beastly fear that a person feels when he's like in life danger. My fear is much weaker than the power of that's for now, but it'll be the opposite. Yes, exact. Wanted to scrutinize. I need to want to strengthen the fear so it will come to the level of my corporeal fear. Or is there a difference between them, and it's in a completely different direction? No, you said it correctly in the beginning. Free question. What is the punishment we're talking about? The biggest punishment is disconnection from the Creator. When a person believes in reward and punishment, is it correct that it's the beginning of the fear towards the Creator? What I wanted to ask is that often you feel when you're talking about the topic of fear that it's kind of like heroic action, that I will do this great overcoming and then I will have fear. But in actuality, we see that through the blows a person is put into that feeling of fear until he surrenders and simply asks for salvation. Is it so you have to keep going? You have to keep going. For of how can we draw the counsels of Thera to the 10? We have to try to realize them in the group. Woman thank you, Ra. Please tell us what will hasten connection amongst the people of Israel, or our connection, and is it through our prayer that we have to mention that the people of Israel will connect as fast as possible? That's the way it should be. And one or and good morning, dear. Our morning, it says in the title, what is the earth feared and was still in the work? What does this still mean? What sort of action is still the work? The receive doesn't demand anything, doesn't demand anything. And it also says in the article, our correction comes from observing Torah in mids. What is this observing? It looks so passive if you just op. So what does this observing mean in the practical work? It to do all the laws of creation, to keep all the laws of creation. That means to keep commandments. Is all of the relationships between people to still vegetative anim in speaking on behalf of people, and the tar is all the laws of nature. And why is it called observing? R because it sounds so passive, observing. So just sitting here observing to miss far. So what is this? Is what sort of action is observing? The action is that we have to connect all parts of creation in a system called heaven and earth, and that between them there'll be connections, and that everything will exist in mutual completion, mutual compensation. Bulgaria, is there a relation? Is there relation between this observing and the word still in the work? Eventually we reach that still land, that everything exists with agreement. How to attain fear? I don't have fear. I don't have complete faith. How to really attain this fear? Fear is when I am fearful. Will I have an opportunity to fear the Creator? Was what does it mean for me to have such an opportunity to fear the Creator? When I think of how I'll succeed in keeping His commandments, the laws of nature. Good morning. Are it's written in the article that a person can engage in for other purposes, like for honor or for pleasure, that he'll receive in the future. Can a person examine his intention in the work? Not yet now, but there will come a state where we'll be to check our intentions even before we realize them, before we implement them. Below, through the RAF and through the 10, can we learn to hear correctly and observe the T? Because it's not understood, it's a little difficult. There's no special problem here, otherwise you can't connect the group, otherwise you can't connect within the group, and you can understand what connection is all. Together connection is the biggest purpose that stands before us. We're learning with you that everything started from the shattering of the vessel, and with you we need to connect the vessel for free. Thank you. Our question is the fear for me to not lack joy, to always be connected to the Creator through the concern for the friends. Yeah, but you're concerned about not lacking happiness. You have to be concerned of something else, something more exalted. I want to have the force to bestow and the force to push everyone to the Creator. You can push and you pull. When do we push and when do we pull? That's according. I don't know. We need to talk about it. We need to scrutinize what you mean in those states, like they're rejecting and attracting. For talks about it, we need to think how to use it in the right time. Let's say we talk a lot about the fact that in the 10 only by giving example, and this is very similar to the act of attracting the friends or pulling the friends. There's also a state in which we push or not just pull them or track them. Yes, we'll learn at New York to New York tour IOD that the greatest punishment is to disconnect from the Creator. How to come to that feeling that disconnecting from the Creator is a punishment. The greatest punishment is disconnect from the Creator. How to come to that feeling. Is that what you asked? The biggest punishment is this connection from the Creator is right. How do we reach such a feeling, constantly wanting to connect to the Creator? And if we in this tendency an opposite feeling, then we feel ourselves really that we get a punishment. Yep, we need to try and be directed towards connection, towards unity, towards a high. Okay. Yet to continue that question, yesterday we did attend meeting. We had a very special meeting. We connected in a way that we never connected before. We talked about topics about the other diary of the Journal of 10, about designation. We had truly a connection that we never felt before like this. The question is, what from there can we do? Is we didn't come to request the Creator some deficiency towards the Creator that would be revealed, what was missing in such connections between us for us to come to a true need from that to keep going and check research. Check what are you truly lacking, for your deficiency that you raise to the Creator will be such a deficiency that the Creator must answer you for it by raising you to Him. Does it depend on what we prepare beforehand so that meeting will with the 10 will bring a good result? A deficiency, yes, that is still something we need to scrutinize between us and all kinds of states. Yes. Earlier we heard that fear is the missing of the opportunity to bring condemn to the Creator. No, there's all kinds of fears, he explains. Yes, but you asked what's the focus on, and that's what you said. Now contentment to the friends. You can see that you're bringing contentment to the friends where they enjoy. The friends are concentrated on the goal, etc. Now what is our way of knowing that we're doing this? I want to reach a feeling that I'm giving Him contentment, and that feeling will be as true as possible. Again, that's the request. Yes, according to everything we heard and read. So is there a quality of faith or fear? I don't think that we have something real about it here, even if we talk about faith. But there's not enough of a feeling for it for other and even any vessels also. Fear, it sounds like the quality of bestow that high. Don't there's fear on external things, but not fear that I've missed out on something in the end. I say none else besides Him good that does good. That's what He decided, but I don't have not fear and not faith. Yes, what do you? I don't know. I really don't know. Let's say in the morning lesson now, I'm with the 10 and I want to connect. There's like a block. That's something closed. It's not open. It's not still in my state. And I didn't come out of my state towards the friends at I want the faith that I want the fear. Nevertheless, can't get what you're asking. Can someone say it in his place? Instead, maybe say it in English. No. Can yes. No, speak English. Oh, you didn't understand me. I am not certain that I understood You, I'm saying this, the fear we still don't have real fear you. No, we're not that concerned about it. Let's say now in the lesson I'm with friends, and God forbid if I didn't come to the lesson, so I have like a fear. But something happened that wasn't good. But in the end I say nothing else. Besides, I'm good, that's good. The W receive constantly searches for opportunities how not to feel fear, how not to feel faith. That's a defensive force that every will to receive has. It operates in such a way that I'm afraid a little, I'm a little sorry, and eventually go pass by my neglectfulness. But it's all you know, yeah, it's unnatural, it's all theory. Like Senior said, it's all like it's not something that we're really in or feel, or it could be not natural or natural only under the condition that you will connect together and will want to erect that feeling together, the feel together, the whole question of you feeling and him feeling, and a different time, a different state towards a different awakenings. But the main thing is together, and then you will feel a new difference, a new change in their matter, even if we all feel closed. And it's also good that we're together. Feeling it together, we're lacking it, yes. Yes, all. Right, well, what should we do? It's already 5. What do you recommend I would hear it? 3 at 3. I wanted to ask in the article it said it brings death to my water. How can I work without complaining in the work, and only continue with the friends? How can you understand what he's saying? How can we understand? Can you straighten lines here? Yes, how can I go without complaints in the work, and just continue with the friends? What would you answer? Yeah, how can I go straight in the work without constantly complaining, just continue with the friends? That's the question. Nullify myself towards their friends, catch myself in them and catch them in my hands, and to just push them in the same direction that they're choosing, that they're trying to reach, and then in such a way we will get there. Each and everyone will want to nullify himself this way towards the society, and will want to invest all his forces. Then we will arrive quickly to the truth. For me to ask what is a true friend, I have to invest all my forces in a true real friend. For me is every single friend that I am certain that without him I'm not going to reach with the Creator, with to the essence of life. And that's why I hold on to him and grip him, and only in the connection with him I have my life dependent on him. Good morning, friends. I think SH meant I'm sitting with the greatest of the generation, the greatest of the creators around us, and I don't feel it. Why? Because I don't have fear from it. The fact that he has no fear, that he's missing out on it, right? Shami, you're not afraid of me. I'm really afraid if I'm talking about he's afraid that he's not afraid, and he feels that he's missing out because the greatest of the generation around him is of the Creator, and he doesn't feel it. I understood, Ken. Yes, no. Well, I think that you're all advancing okay, and you are in the right way, and nevertheless there's a connection between everyone. Relatively certainly it's not yet the final correction for everyone, but we're advancing okay. We have so many questions. Women Mac 113. Hello dear teacher, hello world. CLE, if we the group try every day to study the words of the great Kabbalists, try and pray together physically, we can hug only virtually. Question is, does that mean that we're far from the Creator or close to him? You are on the way to the Creator. The feeling of the greatness of the friends, is that given by the Creator? No, that's something that is given by the Creator. How can I acknowledge that before me are great friends? The Creator gave them to you. That's why you need to accept them, and to say this is a gift from the Creator. There are these articles from the first articles we read that talks about this a lot, that a person puts his hand on the good fate. The Creator puts the hand of a person on the good fate and tells him, take. Okay, I don't know who to invite. I can't invite everyone. Women P, thank you very much for our question. To continue, question about the habit, we said that we have to have a habit to come out of ourselves and to constantly work in more and then we'll come to from that how do I build this custom or this habit so also we will also draw the light so the tour will be as a spice like we said in the article. Try first of all do so artificially as much as possible until you start seeing it becoming as it is. Written habit becomes second nature. Is this habit in actions or also in thoughts? In both women see you. To thank you Rob. In the article there are two types of fear. First he's afraid. First he's afraid that he might not be able to do everything in order to bestow, and second there will be no one to receive abundance and pleasure and the purpose of creation would not be carried out. So the question is the second type of fear higher than the first one? Because the first fear seems that to be personal fear and the second fear is the fear for the whole creation. We will examine this. Okay, what else do we have? We have the study of the 10 or introduce. Let's take a little of the introduction. So next part of the lesson. We are in item 9. K. Yes, 9. In return for that we are privileged by him to have been rewarded with the spirit of whose greatness and sanctity are beyond any word and any utterance. He was not gazed upon and will not be gazed upon except by those worthy that had served under his light, and they to only intermittently each according to what he received in his heart. It is true that the lights of his toe and holy wisdom are built primarily on the holy foundations of they, however they are not at all similar. I shall explain this with an allegory of a person drowning in the river, rising and sinking as drowning people do sometimes. Only the hair is visible and then a counsel is sought to catch him by his head. Other times his body appears as well and then a counsel is sought to catch him from opposite his heart. So is the matter before us after Israel has drowned in the evil waters of the exile among the nations. Since then until now they rise and fall, and not all times are the same. At the time of the only the head was visible, hence the had troubled in our favour to save us through the mind. At the time of B there was relief, hence it was a blessing for us to save us from opposite their heart, and that was a great and true salve for us. As for our many sins, the wheel has been turned over again in our generation, and we have declined tremendously as though from the zenith to the in addition there is the collision of the nations, which has confused the entire world. The needs have increased and the mind grew short and corrupted in filth of materialism, which apprehend the lead servants ride horses and ministers walk on the earth, and everything is said in our study in the above mentioned has come true in us for our many. Again the iron wall has been erected even on this great light, the Bishov, which we have said illuminated as far as the established of our complete redemption, and the wise at heart did not believe the ability that a generation would come when they could not see by his light. Now our eyes have darkened, we have been robbed of good, and when I saw this I said it is time to act. Thus I have come to open widely the gates of the light of the for he is indeed capable and fit for our generation. 2. The two are better than 1. We should not be blamed for the brevity in my composition, since it corresponds and is adapted to any wisdom lover, as too much wine wears off the flavour and the attainment becomes harder. For a disciple also we are not responsible for those at heart, since the language to assist them has yet to be created. Wherever they cast their eyes they find and there is a rule that from the same source from which the wise draws his wisdom, the fool draws his thus I stand at the outset of my book and warn that I have not tr at all for all those who love to look through their windows. Rather it is for those who care for the words of their Creator, who long for the Creator and his goodness to complete the purpose of which they were created for by the will of the Creator. The verse, all who seek me shall find me, will come true in them. Yes, he gives the allegory of the person drowning in the river, and then he can be saved or from the hairs of his head or from his heart, and he said that how they came to save us from the head and from the heart. What does it mean to say from the head or from the heart? To talk to people of their generation, where there are those that are closer to the heart and those that are closer to the up intellect. So those who are close to the intellect, what does it mean to save them? What can you give them from the godly wisdom that it'll touch their mind? It's like what did where he wrote. They wrote that, but according to the writings, where addressed the mind of a person, and after that the other time it was turned through their heart. When turning to the mind, what do the Kabbalists want? Let's say they went with that plea to the mind. What do they want to explain to a person that they feel that it'll save him from drowning, to awaken him to turn to the Creator, and with the others as usual, like we're talking, that provokes his intellect to the mind. Yes, also the heart, but mostly it's the mind, because that's where it's an explanation about form of creation, its picture, and so on. And the heart, when the bee wanted to save us from their heart, he talked more about connection, about the relations between people, and wanted to awaken towards connection between them. Why do these actions save a person from drowning? Where does he drown? Why does it save him? He's drowning in his ego. Each and everyone, all of us, are drowning in our egoistic desire, and we don't have any possibility to be saved from this besides the means, and the means can be either that comes to us through the mind, or the Torah that comes to us through the heart. Yes, our generation today, how to save them through the mind, through the heart. It seems to me that it's through the head. That's what it seems to me. I'm not sure I'm saying this to you from myself, that not certain, but it seems to me that it's through the head, through the mind. Our hearts are very dry. Through they can get it through the head. We're capable of absorbing and thinking and connecting with one another, and discussing, philosophizing with one another, and this way gradually from the smallest to the greatest there can be somewhat connected to the wisdom. What about the heart? The heart will follow afterwards, after the thoughts. The hearts will awaken. He writes that he warns us, the ones who look through the windows. Who are those that he didn't rate it for them? Who are those people who don't actually want to know their wisdom and to use it in practice like the Kabbalists? But they have some corporal matter to know and acquire through this, maybe some wise name or something like that. Ken, yes, you explained that they tried to work through the mind to help us through the mind and through the heart. And when you ask how to help this generation, you said through the head, because this generation is closer to the work with the mind. When we between us, and also when we go out, we're only speaking about connection, only the heart. Where's the head? We don't teach the public and all kinds of. You won't be able to do that, to teach them about the 10, but nevertheless, what are they drawn to, and what do they grasp better? I don't think that they will receive from use about love and connection and embracing, etc. Brother, that will follow later. So maybe I don't understand something, but our dissemination revolves around connection. We're not speaking about wisdom. You can't talk about wisdom when we just like that talk around to thousands of people around you. Can't. So what does it mean that we have to turn through the head? I didn't understand. This is already talking about those who are coming closer to the wisdom and wants to know the matter of what we're talking about. That's how it seems to me. I don't think that the bee is not suitable for our times. He simply wasn't understood so much. He didn't advertise himself maybe enough. We also don't see a serious movement of his vast movement, like the movement of the, but I don't know what to say. I also thought beforehand what so okay stories, but he actually drew to him people. He drew the people to work above reason. No, we'll talk more about this. Yes, Gilad. Last he says that I then write for the ones who look through the windows, only for the ones that the words of the Creator are important for them, and they want to learn the words of the Creator in order to reach the purpose they were created For, yes puts a very serious filter here. He says I'm writing only for those who have a point in the heart and it's burning, that's clear, but nevertheless also Bam himself has the study of, and he has the articles of the spiritual work, and that's how it is. But he also says that a great expansion for the wisdom of we need in the people and so on, so do those all work out. So in the wisdom of you have to you have also the wisdom itself and also the spiritual work, this which is more. I'll scrutinize that later, we will scrutinize more. Okay, yes, why are you looking at me? And now he wants to finish. Okay. Finish, there's a lot more questions here I don't see before me. Only one question from KF3. He has a view. What did Ban think when he put out the newspaper of the nation and all those articles a Kabbalist cannot lose? He's afraid to lose an opportunity that he has for correcting the world, and that's why he did what he did. It's clear that he did correctly, but what did he expect to put out an article like, and what he expected that the whole people will read it, that will influence, it would influence people and for them to awaken. What else can you do? So he also tried to gather points in the heart. That was his purpose, yes, even though he did it in a relatively global way back then. He did what he had in his hands to do what his hands were capable of doing. He didn't have too many opportunities. He wanted to open a leather up processing plant and all kinds of things to connect people, to make from them some kind of an association of laborers that are studying. But it didn't work out for him, just like Rabash used to say. He said that the time was yet worthy for him, not yet worthy, that's it. Are we in a worthy time, the appropriate time? Who knows? We need to try to at least continue in that direction, and what will be afterwards the Creator will arrange, but we need to try and prepare for him all the necessary states. Okay, already everyone is expecting to run away. Yes, Judaism never disseminated itself. It was usually a pro-light who wanted to come, was rejected. The other religions disseminated also through wars, Islam, and so why when we want to disseminate, let's say we want to disseminate not Judaism, but rather the correction of man, which belongs to everyone. We are in the last generation, in the generation in which we must execute these actions of correction. You decide something for someone who doesn't feel that it's lacking. I try to write it to reach him in the best possible way, the most correct way for him to be impressed. And that's how it will impact him. We have to show him that he'll get an impression that it's something good. On the other hand, he doesn't have it, because one hand you need to, yes, also in the lack and also in the filling. We nevertheless see that today it's thousands that are incorporated by this and want to learn and are studying, and this is a great achievement. In our times it's not like it used to be, you understand, so we will live and see there's more to see. So let's conclude the lesson with that, friends. This Friday 22nd of December there's going to be the fast of 10 of there will not be a meal, and the Friday afternoon meal will be at 5 p.m. Shabbat meal will be as regular after morning lesson today schedule. Monday at 10 the news, at noon the lesson, 5:30 reading the study of the 10, 7:30 Z reading. We'll end with a so man sh main 4 tsp. Thank you, friends. Good night. Why? Good night, friends. Guys, see you tomorrow.